What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Your Request. This is a segment on my YouTube channel where you guys request movies to me to check out, and I've been loving doing this year so far. It's been so much fun to get you guys' requests and watch all different kinds of movies, and I was really excited about this request in particular because this is a newer release movie that I heard nothing about at all, and as soon as I read the plot description, I was immediately excited to watch it. This is very much my kind of movie. I love indie slice of life dramas. Always really something that I look forward to checking out, and I'm really excited to tell you about Good One today. Good One is directed by India Donaldson. On a weekend backpacking trip in the Catskills, 17-year-old Sam contends with the competing egos of her father and his oldest friend. So I was really excited to watch this movie. Like I said, knew very little about it before I went in to watch it, and just read the plot description, which got me excited to see it. And this is one of the best movies that I've seen in quite some time. This film is incredibly moving. It's beautifully acted and filmed. And really what I loved so much about it is it captures the human experience in such a raw and visceral way that is truly moving. And it's cinema that I love the most, because I love when movies can capture human beings in a way that doesn't feel like inauthentic Hollywood. This is like capturing a snapshot of people's lives in a way that you're like viewing these people in such a way that they don't feel like actors portraying something. It feels like people interacting with each other. And I'll make this comparison as the review goes on, but it's definitely very reminiscent of Kelly Reichardt and some of the things that I love so much about Kelly's work, in particular her film Old Joy. There's a lot about that movie that I see in this, but this movie is doing something very special in its own way, and I'm really looking forward to telling you about it today. So at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Sam, played by Lily Collias, and she's about to leave on a trip with her father, Chris. They're going to go backpacking together, and Chris is going to bring his friend Matt and his friend's son, and the four of them are going to go on this trip together. Well, when they arrive to go pick up Matt, he and his son are getting into this fight, and his son says, "I really don't want to go." Sam says, "Hey, I can go talk to him." And Matt says, "It's not worth it. Let's just go." So the three of them go on this trip together. And the entirety of the film is while they're out backpacking, we get to know a little bit more about each individual character and watch their experience as this trip progresses. So like I said, I thought this movie was incredible. It's deeply moving. It's very beautiful and serene until it becomes quietly devastating. And that is because this film is executed brilliantly. For starters, I want to talk about the performances. All three actors in this film do a really phenomenal job, but I really want to call out Lily Collias' performance as Sam in particular, because she is asked a lot of in this movie. Her character has to go through some very serious highs and lows and has to react to situations in a very specific way, and I think that she completely and totally nails it. There were so many moments in this movie that I was completely and utterly captivated by her performance, and I just think she really is what makes this movie work so well. I thought both of the actors that play the male leads both did a phenomenal job, and I think the chemistry between the three of them is very natural and authentic. You can believe that this friend has kind of been in their lives for a really long time, so the rapport back and forth, there's a lot of great comedic timing between the three of them, and then when things get a little bit more tense, it makes sense in the context of the situation. And so I think the performances are really what make this movie so incredibly special. The cinematography in this film is beautiful. The landscape shots really make the movie easy to kind of suck yourself into. It's why I compare it so much to Kelly Reichardt, because her movies, a lot of times I feel like comparing her films to like a warm hug, even when the subject matter can oftentimes get very heavy and dramatic. There's something about Reichardt's films that they're so easy to just kind of immerse yourself into. And that's what I would say about this. Just from the very first 5 minutes of the movie, it's so easy to just dive into this world, set yourself down into it, and appreciate it. And a lot of that is due to the really incredible attention to detail in the cinematography. I also thought the sound design in this movie was brilliant. I really think capturing the essence of nature and kind of putting you in this place where the movie kind of quietly lulls you into this submission where it's like, oh, it's this comforting movie about these people spending time together. father until it becomes quietly devastating. And there's other things that are introduced that really dramatically shift the tone and the feelings that you have towards these characters. And I think having nature, that quiet, serene, beautiful nature as the backdrop, really creates just kind of like a soul shaking moment when something specific happens in this movie towards the third act. And I really appreciate that. It takes a lot of patience to be able to pull off something so drastic in the third act. And I think that it's handled really well here. And I think what makes this movie work so well is, like I said, the very personal dynamics of this. And it's obviously the big part of this movie is about a relationship between a daughter and her father. And what I thought was so interesting is all of the little nuances that are introduced in this, especially like the lead character's queer identity introduced early on in the film, and the way that the friend Matt kind of like makes jabs about it. It's never like so overt where it's like, this heavy-handed dialogue back and forth. It's like a subtle jab. And it just feels so indicative of the lives that so many queer people have to experience, where it's like they might think that they're just playing off as something subtle, but it's much more than that. And you can see Sam's character, like she reacts to it, and then it's kind of like well, this is my dad's friend who's been around for a while, but you can tell that it really hurts. And I think there's so many kids that have to experience that, where they live with family that interact with people that just don't care about their identity and who they are, and that they're so willing to just kind of like nonchalantly throw things out that way. And I really felt that on a deep level, and it really moved me a lot early on in the film. And there's a lot of little moments like that. But what really hit me hard in this movie is in the third act, and I don't want to give the whole situation away. There's a scene that happens where Sam has to have this conversation with her father that's rather uncomfortable, and his reaction to it, and just having this humbling moment where, like, in life, people are conditioned to believe that their parents are these heroes and that they're these people who are just above being human. And there's always moments in people's lives where we have to be humbled and remember that our parents are people, and that they're capable of being incredibly flawed and capable of making mistakes that harm others. And there's this really just like gutting moment in this movie between daughter and father that I just could not stop bawling. And I just kept thinking back to my own relationship with my father, and how like we are not close. We had a huge falling out in our life, and going back to moments where I felt similar, to where it's like I was expressing something and he was just completely and totally ignorant and oblivious, and just willing to ignore it. And I think there's something so powerful about that. And then even more so in the sense that this is a young woman surrounded by this very heavy masculine energy. And it's like, I will never know the feeling of being a woman, and especially a younger woman, in a situation surrounded by only older men. And I think the way that it's conveyed in this movie through little moments where, like, Sam's character, she's on her period, and so she goes like behind a tree to change her tampon, and it's just like the way that it's captured in the camera, just really kind of shining light of, this is a young woman who is in the middle of the woods with two older men. One is obviously her father, but there's a very different energy surrounding all that. And then when they're confronted by this group of young men out there, and she just completely feels outnumbered in this situation. And I love just how it builds to this very specific point, and just the way that her father reacts to this very specific circumstance. And it was just very eye-opening and moving and beautiful in a way that didn't feel heavy-handed or overblown. It was so natural, the examination of this character's experience. And then after it happens, the way that she has to kind of play it off as like, well, he ignored me. I have to try to finish out the remainder of this trip without acting weird. And it's just like, it hurts. Like watching it, it just hurt. So it made me hurt so much for the character. And I loved the way that the movie ended. I thought the visual symbolism was very beautiful. And there's just so much to love about this. I love movies that can examine the human condition in a very raw and realistic way. And that is exactly what Good One does. I highly, highly recommend watching this movie. It truly is one of the best things that I've watched in months. So have you seen Good One? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was incredible. I really enjoyed it a lot, and I hope that you'll check it out. As always, if you can like like the video and subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.